One of the questions that I am often asked is, what property can I keep? This is a great question, and it is one that is often the source of much information. In determining what property a person can keep, it is important to consider both the Federal Bankruptcy Insolvency Act, the Insurance Act, and the Provincial Executions Act. All of these must be considered because Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act recognizes any property that a province considers exempt. Therefore, there are provincial differences. Upon making the assignment in bankruptcy, all unencumbered assets, those with no liens registered against them, vest in the trustee subject to certain federal and provincial legislations. Some of the more common assets and how they are dealt with in the bankruptcy are as follows. Employer pension plans. Most employer pension plans are exempt from seizure as they are protected by provincial legislation. RRSPs, when registered with a life insurance company, are exempt from seizure by a trustee pursuant to provincial legislation. A self-directed RRSP that is registered with a non-life insurance company or bank, etc., are exempt pursuant to the Act, with the exception that any contribution made to the plan within 12 months prior to the assignment in bankruptcy will be paid to the trustee. RESPs are considered an asset in your bankruptcy under certain situations, and any balance less the government grant portion may be seized by the trustee. I'll discuss this matter with you in further detail and your initial consultation after reviewing the documentation that you have. Stocks, bonds, investments. Any stocks or bonds held, including Canada Savings bonds or any shares that are publicly traded, are assets that would vest in the trustee. Life insurance policies. Life insurance policies are exempt from seizure as they are protected by provincial legislation, providing the named beneficiary is within the protected class designation. Those beneficiaries that would be included in this class are a spouse, a child, a parent, a grandchild, a common law opposite sex spouse, or a common law same-sex partner. Personal effects, necessary and ordinary clothing of the debtor and his or her family are exempt from seizure as they are protected by the provincial legislation. The maximum value of a personal effect covered by the exemption is $5,650. Furniture. The household furniture that are contained within and form part of the home of a debtor are exempt from seizure as they are protected by provincial legislation. The maximum value of furniture to be covered by the exemption would be $11,300. Tools of the trade. Tools and other personal property of the debtor used to earn an income from the debtor's occupation are exempt from seizure and they are protected by the provincial legislation. The maximum value of tools of the trade covered by the exemption would be $11,300. Automobiles. Each bankrupt is afforded an exemption under provincial legislation for one unencumbered motor vehicle having a value not to exceed $5,650. There is, at the current time, no exemption for the equity in a person's house. However, in many cases, the trustee will enter into an arrangement to allow for the person to settle for the equity within their home. Now, there are other assets which are not protected. All recreational equipment, including but not limited to boats, trailers, snowmobiles, are not afforded any exemption under the provincial legislation and would therefore vest in the trustee.